Welcome to the Worth the Wealth podcast, where we dive deep into what makes you truly wealthy and inspire you to believe that you are worth it. We explore it all, from taking control of your mental and physical health, navigating romantic and family relationships, to tearing down the walls around investing in the stock market, real estate, and beyond. Here you'll find inspiring stories of people just like you who stopped waiting for permission, bet on themselves, and are building a life where they don't just have to survive, they get to thrive. And we're going to teach you how to do the same. Together, we will open doors, overcome obstacles, challenge our limiting beliefs, and learn that a wealthy life is simple. You just have to learn how to work for it. The ways of wealth should not be gatekept, and it's time we talk about it. So let's jump in. Well, thank you for joining us today on Worth the Wealth. I want to start off with just having you introduce yourself, what you do, what your purpose is, and kind of go from there.
The purpose is something that I struggle with, actually. But I am a husband. I am a father, first and foremost. I run two companies, one with my wife, the real estate side of things, and one with my partner, Zach Bush. We are family first and foremost. So that's why I lead with husband and father. I have a real estate investing business that we've done everything from wholesaled to holding properties as co-living. And I run with my partner, Zach Bush, a coaching business for busy dads to take control of their health and wellness.
How did you get into both of those things?
Real estate was kind of a little slow play. When I was a kid, my dad dropped this little seed, I guess, in there saying, hey, you should get invested in real estate. You're really good at Monopoly. I was always winning at Monopoly. And so that skill translates very well into real estate. But no, we bought our first rental property kind of by accident. My wife and I, girlfriend at the time. So we bought our first property in Oklahoma, and it was supposed to be a primary residence. We had just left Southern California. It was 7 acres. It had a lake and like a creek and woods and all the things that you would
That's
want
awesome.
when you're like, I'm leaving Southern California.
Yeah.
She got a job an hour and a half away from this property. And we're like, what are we going to do with this house now? I don't want you to be driving 3 hours a day to go to work. You're going to be working 10-hour shifts. It was this amazing opportunity as an engineer fresh out of college. And so we decided, let's fix this house up. We were going to fix it up anyway. I'm going to go in, I'm going to do a bunch of work to it, and we'll rent it out. We had thought about buying a investment property. So we just kind of fell into this, the stars aligned, so to speak, as our first rental property. And then from there, I'm like, how do I buy more of these? How do I go buy more rental properties? We had both graduated from Cal State Long Beach. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. I knew that real estate investing was something that I was very interested in, and now I've got this cash flowing property. How do I go do more of that? I started doing some research. I didn't know anything at the time. I didn't even know Bigger Pockets existed. And so I get online, I do some research, I find out there's a local real estate investor meetup. So I go to that and I find out you can go direct to seller and you can talk directly to a seller that wants to sell her home. So, okay, how do I do that? And I literally did mailers, cold calling, pay-per-click on Google, on Facebook. I did all the marketing channels you could do to try to find sellers, and literally every one was successful. And I didn't stick with one for more than like 3 to 6 months. So I never, until I joined Sub 2 and started cold calling and started building that skill. I think we ended up cold calling for like 18 months at that point.
Wow.
Just wholesaling. But it was just one of those things where I'd get a deal and then I'd go, this isn't working. Even though it did, it had worked. I just hadn't built up enough time. And so I'd jump onto the next thing. SEO, PPC, I have some still. I have bought door hanger flyers that said, I want to buy your house. And I just walked around neighborhoods and hung them up. Bought a house that way. Well, wholesaled a house that way.
Yeah.
But then, I don't think that works. All right. You don't know what you don't know, I guess.
Why do you think you felt that way? Because like you obviously had proof of concept, and I think that's an important thing to like talk about. Because you had the proof of concept, you saw that it worked. Why do you think at the end of the day you were like, oh well, that doesn't work after getting one deal?
I think that at the time, I was like, I should be getting more deals than this from sending out, I forget what the number was, 5,000 mailers. I should be getting more deals than this from hanging 500 flyers or 1,000 flyers. More people should want to sell their house. So just getting 1 out of 3 months was not proof of concept for me, even though it is. And knowing what I know now, it's like typical lead cycle is 3 to 6 months. Most people need to see your content between 7 and 13 times in order to say, hey, I'm interested in doing something. I didn't realize that. I didn't know what I didn't know, essentially. And I didn't have a mentor or a group like Sub 2 with the community where I could find those things out.
Yeah. And how did you get into the whole like fitness thing? How did that business start?
So when I joined Sub 2 in 2022,
Will you explain what Sub 2 is for listeners too? Because a
oh,
lot of people
yes,
who are
so,
on here are not
okay.
going to know anything about real estate or anything like that.
Okay, yeah, Sub 2 is oh boy, how do you
I call it
qualify
community
the
because it's not a
community? Yeah,
mentorship. It's like a
it's,
paid community.
yeah, it is a community. I think that's the biggest aspect of it is the community. There's over 16,000 people just in the private Facebook group alone, that are all doing real estate in some form or fashion. There's thousands of hours of Zooms in a Zoom vault just going over training, because there's a lot of different ways that you can make money in real estate, from wholesaling to buying notes and doing apartment complexes, all the different things that real estate kind of encompasses. There's trainings on those. There's Pace talking about these things. Pace Morby, the founder of Sub 2, to just all the different leaders in the community. But like you mentioned, it is a community. It's where all my friends are from these days, except for two very old friends that I have. Everybody is from Sub 2 at this point. So, yeah, it's one of those things where if you've been in other coaching programs before, it just it's completely different. It blows everything out of the water. The vibe, the positivity, the connections, the resources, the resourcefulness of everybody, it's just pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, the
I don't
giving
know why I went
spirit
from Sub
too.
2 though.
Like the giving spirit of everyone. Like people are willing to help. If you ask a question that's not like they're like, well, what's in it for me? Yeah, I love it too.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I just wanted
Oh,
to
oh yeah.
kind of explain that because I know a lot of because the podcast isn't necessarily like just real estate. I'm actually gonna like pull you
Awesome.
more into the fitness side, I think,
Okay.
versus so
That's what I'm passionate about. So you
and
asked, yeah,
that's why I wanted to have you on was that, but people are gonna hear it and I'd rather them know what it is
yeah.
and go from there. So
Well, I'm glad that you asked that, because a lot of what we're doing it's called Fit Fatherhood, our coaching program. It is modeled in an aspect of it after what I've experienced in Sub 2. Sub 2 is a bunch of like-minded people that are all trying to learn and grow in real estate. And like you mentioned, it's positivity. It's people helping out without the expectation of I'm going to get something in return. It's just, hey, this person needs an answer to a problem that I've already solved or I know the answer to, and so I'm able to solve that. And so Fit Fatherhood is a community of like-minded, just busy dads who are looking to take control of their health and wellness. It is a coaching program as well. It's one-on-one, 12 weeks of we're diving into what your goals are and helping you achieve them through nutrition, through exercise, movement. We call it movement because exercise can have a specific kind of
a negative
connotation.
connotation, yeah.
Yeah. And like a lot of the things that we've learned as entrepreneurs goes into this as well. Mindset, having a positive mindset, being able to set goals that you are looking to achieve and then break those goals into actionable habits and plans for weeks and months at a time. That way you're, tweaking your lifestyle. You're not just jumping on a fad diet or a fad workout plan.
Yeah.
I remember what you had asked though at the moment. It was, how did I get started in Fit Fatherhood? And it was going back to Sub 2. So the real estate community, Sub 2, when I first joined in 2022, one of the first things that they tell you is go meet 25 people. I think they say actually go meet 50 people now.
It's 50, yeah. I
Yeah.
think when you joined it was 25 and they've upped it to 50.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's
It'll
75
be
at this
100
point.
and yeah.
Right? Just
Yeah.
meet everybody
Yeah.
and
And
ugh.
so one of the first people I met was my partner, Zach Bush. We met and I did a great job of going out and meeting 25 people. I did not do a great job of actually learning about them and building a connection with them and following up with them. So
Yeah.
I met him. It was like, hey, cool, let's do a deal someday together. And did not talk for a year and a half, basically. And so we ended up coming back kind of full circle into a smaller community called the Growth Co. And it was a coaching program for real estate investors, and kind of we got in touch. Oh, hey, it's been a while. What are you up to? Find out he's just had a kid at this point, his son Ashton, and we had just had our second. So they're very similar in age. So we kind of started chit chatting. He's a CrossFit coach. He is a precision nutrition coach. So he's certified as a nutritionist. And so health and wellness and fitness is big in his lifestyle. I've been in the Marine Corps. Actually, my Marine Corps shirt right here. Go figure. I was in the Marine Corps, so fitness and health is pretty big in the Marine Corps. I
Definitely.
was a collegiate athlete. It's always been a part of my life, and so we kind of at the time set the fatherhood thing aside. It wasn't on our plate yet. It wasn't in our minds yet that this could be something. We just were aligned in this healthy lifestyle thing. So we're going, hey, you know what? We've never done a real estate deal, but maybe we can do something in the fitness space. So we started this, I think it was 5-week challenge. This is going back about a year now at this point. Was drink some water, like start tracking your water consumption, start doing some movement, some exercise. Oh, I guess we did add the family time in there because we said like, hey, go spend 15 minutes of dedicated, focused family time every day. And so I forget what the other couple weeks are, but we did this 5 weeks and then it kind of fell apart. We didn't really pursue it anymore because we weren't aligned in a vision. We didn't have really a passion behind it still that really kind of drew us in. A few months go by and we go like, dude, how do we work together? We're very aligned in our health and our nutrition. We're very aligned as far as entrepreneurship. We're very aligned as far as, family, fatherhood, and it just clicked. Oh, fitness and fatherhood. And that's kind of where the name originated from, but it has grown now into Fit Fatherhood, not only the fitness, but fitting all these things in to your busy lifestyle as a dad. So we focus on entrepreneurs that are, really determined in growing their business, high level career individuals that just are focused on climbing the ladder and being better in that aspect for their families, that typically just like, I don't have enough time in the day to eat healthy. I don't have enough time in the day to get some movement in on top of my career, on top of being a husband, on top of being a father. And so we're like, no, you do. It just takes some tweaking. It just takes somebody kind of from the outside looking in sometimes and going, hey, here's some gaps that we can fill. Here's some places that we could combine activities. So I'd love to try kind of talk about that, but I feel like I've been talking for like 20 minutes now. And
No, that's
we'll get back. Yeah.
I'm all about like you're my guest, talk away. I would rather not talk on here.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Yeah.
So there's a couple things I want to touch on and a lot going through my head, and I'm really excited to kind of jump into the physical part of things because that is a huge thing on the entirety of wealth. I'm a firm believer, and the whole reason I'm starting this is that it's not just about the zeros in your bank account. It's about the full encompassment of a good, healthy, wealthy life, right? So I love talking about this, and there's so many directions to go with it and so many questions. The one that is sticking out the most to me from the beginning of you talking about the like fatherhood aspect and the fit fatherhood aspect that I want to dive in deeper with is, so obviously I am not a father and I will never be a father. I will never have the experiences that men do, just like men don't have the experiences women do. So as a woman, we are very much so like the body image thing is right in our faces from day one. Like, I can remember being like 6 and 7 and having body image issues. That's just the life of a woman. That is all I know. Is there the same kind of thing for men? Like, how does that work for a man growing up and even into, since this is a topic, fatherhood?
Yeah.
How does that affect men?
It's yeah, that's a difficult one for me to answer, because I do feel like I look at myself a little differently than most guys do.
Okay.
When I look at myself in the mirror and I've put on some weight or whatever, I haven't been treating my body well, I do get a little like, oh man, what the heck are you doing? It's time for you to change. We have the dad bod, whatever the nomenclature, the name is, and it's like a positive thing.
Yeah.
And
Like, women love
and
the dad bod.
yeah, and I look at him like that's not the best. Like
Yeah.
we should be striving for more as dads, because that's showing our kids and our family that it's okay to just like let yourself go in a sense. And I've said it on my podcast, I've said it on the Fit Fatherhood podcast, that I don't I'm at a point now in my life. I'm 40. I'm gonna be 41 in a couple months here. Woof. 2 months. I'm only 41. I don't work out. There was a time where I worked out for vanity, and I still want to look in the mirror and be like, "Yeah, you look like a badass, dude."
Yeah.
But I don't do it for as much vanity these days as I used to. I used to like, I wanted big arms and I wanted the abs and the chest and all those things. But now I jokingly, but there's a serious note to it, that I work out and I exercise so I can dominate my kids as long as possible in sports and just physical activities. I, I, who knows if they will end up playing sports? That's going to be their choice. I will keep introducing them to them, the activities like that. But if they do decide that they want to play basketball, you better bring it hard in the paint, because dad's going to swat the crap out of that
I
ball.
love that.
Yeah. So that's why I do it now. I hear a lot of dads that come in and they're like, I wrestled on the floor for 10 minutes with my kid and I'm sore for 3 days. It shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
We should be putting in the work on a daily basis so I can go wrestle on the floor with my kids and not get up and be like, oh, my back.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Especially at like 30 and 40.
Yeah,
Like,
like
that
we're
is
that
such a
old.
trend I'm seeing, is like,
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh, well, you're 30, you're old, or oh, I'm 30, so my back's cracking. I'm like, you're not even halfway done. You're almost
Yeah.
there, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
life expectancy, you're almost middle aged, but
Right.
like, that's middle. You're gonna spend the rest of your life in pain. Like, that is a trendy thing I've noticed lately, that everyone's like, oh, well, I'm just old and my back cracks and my knee. Like,
Yeah,
no, it's not
you
supposed to
can
be
have
that
the
way.
back cracks and still not be miserable. Like
Yeah,
my
right?
knees pop, my shoulders are always going. My back is pretty constantly sore. Like there's things that happen to me in the Marine Corps that are lingering,
Yeah.
that I have lingering effects, and as I'm getting older, they're going to be worse. But I don't can't take that as an excuse, because
No.
if I use that as an excuse, they're going to get worse faster because I'm not taking care of myself. Most of the things, the problems that we deal with, like physical ailments, there are exceptions, of course, to this, but our imbalances that we have, if you're having back pain, you probably have an imbalance somewhere. Maybe your hamstrings are not strong enough to be supporting yourself. I thought about this as you were saying that, you mentioned the health and the wealth and how they tie together. We had started Healthy Wealthy Family originally. That was the original idea, is that we're going to bring people in that are real estate investors, entrepreneurs, because the health and the wealth go together. I can build this $1 million business, but if in 20 years I don't have my health, what's the point? If I've built this $1 million business and all I've been doing is focusing on business the whole time, and in 20 years my family doesn't recognize me or doesn't want to be around me, what the heck was the point? At
Yeah.
least for me, and at least for Zach and a lot of the other people that we speak to, that's why we're doing this, is that we can be enjoying the fruits of our labor, both from a financial standpoint and from a family standpoint. And if we're not
Yeah.
taking the steps right now to do that, then we're not aligned with
Yeah.
what our vision is. And one thing that I noticed, I had a day with Pace, which is you get to go to his office or somewhere else that they choose, and you spend a day with him, hanging out, he'll do everything from like talking to sellers to talking through deals and strategies to just going on horseback rides. It was the first time that I guess it was the second time I had seen him in person, but I only saw him for like 3 minutes and he was sitting down. First time I'd seen him in person, I noticed immediately this guy takes care of his body. He's in shape. He's in really good shape. At Squat Up Summit, which is kind of the largest real estate networking event, just a couple months ago, there was a guy named Dean Graziosi there. Pace was there. Who was
David
the other?
Goggins.
Yeah, David Goggins was there. These guys are all super high level entrepreneurs. Dean Graziosi is in his late 50s, and this guy is shredded. I mean, you could
Yeah.
see you could see the triceps. He had definition in his arms. He was lean. The reason he's focused on this is because he knows that as an entrepreneur, as a high level businessman, his health matters. It matters for his energy levels. It matters for his mental clarity and his focus. Like, it matters for his family. And
Yeah.
so if this guy can do it, as running multiple companies, Pace Morby, Dean Graziosi, David Goggins, if these guys can do it, why the heck can I not do it? Why? It's just taking the time to put it into my day,
Yeah.
prioritize it, be intentional about it. So, yeah.
And I think too, I feel like everything in life mirrors itself. And we talk in business about profit first. So when you're running a business, in order to be successful, there's the whole like profit first, pay yourself first, whatever. And even like in your personal finances, they talk about that. Like pay your savings first and do the rest. So it's the same thing with your physical health. Like you have to put yourself first. And this is a hard topic for me to talk about because I'm not currently that great at it, and it's something that I'm working on being better at. But you have to put your health bank account first. There's so many reasons, because like you said, mental clarity, time with your family, energy. That was one of the big things that kind of woke me up to like, okay, McKenna, you're not living how you need to be. Because I started getting really, really tired with all I was doing, because working full time, now starting a podcast, now getting into like real estate, building a business. I'm exhausted. And it's not because I'm wearing myself out because I'm so tired. It's because I'm not fueling my body to support what I'm doing. And so that was a really cool, hard realization. But I also think there's something to be said about the people we're talking about, like these three in particular. And it goes back kind of into the vanity, but I don't think it's wrong to want to look good naked. Like it's not a problem to want to look in the mirror and be like, damn, I'm hot, So, but also there's a fact of like, as much as it sucks, it's reality, society looks at you differently depending on how well you take care of yourself, quote unquote. Yeah. And so thinking about it in a way of like Pace Morby being up on stage, David Goggins being up on stage, you see these people and you subconsciously trust or don't trust them depending on how well they take care of themselves physically. Yeah. And that's one thing I think about all the time, because obviously I'm a talkative person. I am totally fine getting up in front of people. Public speaking, not an issue for me. I love it. One of my goals is to be on stages and talk to people. When I was listening to David Goggins speak at Squat Up, he said something that struck me, and I don't even know if it was explicitly the same thing, but it's how it hit me. Was he said you have to prepare now, so be in the shape you want to be now before the opportunities come. Because I could tell you, full transparency, right now, if let's say Pace calls me and he's like, hey, I want you to speak at next year's Squat Up. If I had to go up on stage where I am currently, I would be so insecure and it would translate into my message. And same thing with like posting stuff on Instagram and on YouTube of what I'm doing in real estate. There are times I shy away from it because I'm not happy with where I'm at. And so not taking care of yourself, not putting that like profit first into your physical bank account, it neglects you of opportunities. You miss things because your confidence goes down. You miss opportunities, or you block yourself from so many blessings because the universe is not going to give me an opportunity to speak on stage, because anytime I think about speaking on stage, I'm like, ugh, I'm not ready. So the universe is hearing that, right? So it's so important, not just for the physical aspect of like your energy. If you want to be something big and you want to do something great, it starts with yourself. You have to do it. And this is me preaching to myself,
Yeah.
but you have to start within, because if not, it's not going to happen.
It's funny you mentioned, like you said that about the preaching to yourself. Is within the last week, I've said that probably 3 or 4 times to people. That when I'm talking to myself from 6 months ago, 12 months ago, but I'm also talking about who I'm becoming in 3 months or 6 months, because people will oftentimes, see me on social media or other people on social media, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, and go, oh, they've got it all together. Like, no, no, we don't have it all together. I'm constantly working on things, and I'm constantly seeing places where I can be better for myself, for my wife, for my kids. David Goggins, that thing that you said hit me as well. Is like, I don't feel like I've found the passion yet in things other than the Fit Fatherhood. I keep getting pulled towards that because I think you could tell I really like it. I'm passionate about the health and the wellness and the wealth, but also the children and showing them the right example and letting them shape our future. But he said, kind of what you said is that you should be preparing every single day, even though you don't have that opportunity in front of you right now, because when the opportunity arises, if you haven't been preparing it every single day, you're not going to be ready to take it up. And I wanted to let you, like, there are seasons to life. We've gone through a big change within the past 6 months or so. We were doing really well real estate wise, and this freaking hurricane hit in South Carolina, and it shut
Yeah.
everything down. We lost power for 3 weeks. We lost internet for like 5 weeks.
Wow.
Fortunately, we had a team built, and so things sustained themselves. And then we had a kid, our third kid, Hope, our daughter. Our third kid ended up being a girl. Yay. But that changed things. Now we're like, okay, we're outnumbered. We've got this baby. Not that we didn't expect it. You're pregnant for 9 months. So we were kind of preparing. But going from 1 to 2 is not that difficult. Going from 2
That's
to
what I've
3,
heard.
yeah, going from 2 to 3 is a change. And so, we went through this season of what are we doing in the business? What are we doing in ourselves? Health wise, wealth wise, mindset wise, all those things. And I say this to say that you're feeling the way you're feeling right now because you want to make change and you need to make change, but you also need to give yourself the grace and say, I've been working on these other things right now. Let's just start building the habits that we want to build, so our future self can look back 6 months from now and go, you were right.
I think it's so important in any aspect in life to give grace, and I don't think we're conditioned to do that. I don't think we're conditioned to give ourselves grace, but I mean, like, we're only human, and this is our first time being human, and so we don't know what we're
Depending on
doing,
what you think. Yeah, no,
right?
yeah.
It's very true,
Yeah.
but either way, it's our first like conscious experience, right?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
we don't remember it
That's
even if we have been here before.
right.
But that's a whole nother topic. So you were a Marine, so you have, I feel like, and this is just my assumption, you had a lot of, strong mindset from the beginning, as if you like went in super young. But mindset is so directly correlated to everything, and especially physical, because motivation does not last.
Right.
And I think anyone listening to this would be like, hell yeah, dude. Like, it does not last. Motivation is fleeting. You do it when you're happy, you lose it, and you stop. I don't know if I want to ask it in like, how has your mindset been strengthened, or how do you teach men to have a strong mindset? I'm going to let you use your discretion on how you want to answer that. But let's talk about mindset a little bit and what it takes to be an entrepreneur, to have that good mindset, to incorporate the physical with it.
Yeah. So when I talk about mindset, I really go back to this one book that I read last year, and it really changed a lot for me. It's called The Gap and the Gain. It's about seeing things from a place of positivity rather than negativity. And since we're talking about health, and most people are familiar with, hey, I want to lose weight. This is my easiest way to show this example. So we have the gap and we have the gain. Remember those two names here. I want to lose 20 pounds in the next 3 months. I've put some habits in place. I've done some things. 3 months come around. I've lost 17 pounds. The gap is the distance from where I am now to where I wanted to be. So 3 pounds. I could look at that gap and go, I didn't do enough exercise. I didn't eat healthy enough. I ate too much desserts. I'm a piece of crap. I didn't hit my goal. The gain is looking at from where you're at now to where you've been. I lost 17 pounds. I am eating 14 healthy meals a week now. I eat 2 healthy meals a day. I drink 100 ounces of water. I'm not drinking any more sodas. I'm exercising 5 times a week. I'm meditating. I'm doing all these things for my health. The gap versus the gain, we want to stay in the gain as much as possible. That's a place of positivity. That's a place of realizing what we've done and what we've accomplished. You want to look at what you've, where you've come from, not where you're trying to go. As entrepreneurs, as goal setters, as high achievers, we're always setting a goal. When we get to that goal, what do? We set another goal. And so you can constantly be living in this gap mindset. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not where I want to be. Instead of looking back at the gain mindset, look at all I've done. Look at all I've accomplished. You can do that from real estate. You can do that in relationships. The gap and the gain applies to everything. So that's where I love starting with mindset stuff. Another really big aspect of mindset for me, for the Fit Fatherhood, group, is the community, is the support, the accountability, and just the being around like-minded people. Because there are going to be days where it's difficult to get up and do your exercise. There are going to be days where you look at the fridge and you're like, I'm just going to eat that thing of ice cream. It's okay to skip an exercise. It's okay to eat the ice cream. It's about getting back on the horse. But a lot of the times when you have those days when things are difficult, you go, man, Zach, if Zach knows that I ate that thing of ice cream, he's going to give me crap about it. If I skip that workout and I'm not able to post in the group that I did my workout today, some of the other dads are going to go, hey, Nathaniel, where's your workout for the day? Where are you at? What are you doing? So even though sometimes they're not actually texting me or calling me and going, hey, I haven't seen your workout, just having that in the back of my mind that there's a community behind me that's holding me accountable, then that's mindset. That's where we're coming from. That's the support that we want. And you get that from the Sub-2 community in a sense. But that's what we're trying to build. And that's what we are building in Fit Fatherhood, is just that support, uplifting. When you have a rough day, you go to the group and people uplift you and go, dude, it's all right. Give yourself some grace. Some stuff happened. Zach calls it a dumpster fire. You have a dumpster fire of a day. You have a dumpster fire of an hour or an afternoon or whatever. It's all right. Sit with it. Let it pass. Give yourself some grace. Move on. We've got habits. We've got goals to keep pursuing. So I hope that answers them. Yeah.
It does. And I love that you bring that up, because I feel like there is, of course, 2 sides to every coin. I've had people in my life that go way too hard, and I call it, me and my friend used to call it, we were business partners at one point, called it toxic entrepreneurship. It's just like toxic positivity. And I don't know if it would be the same wording for this, but to give the example of like knowing in the back of your head that you have the group that's like, hey, didn't see your workout, or sometimes you do have a dumpster fire of a day, but there's times when I've had people that are just like, that's not an excuse, go yeah. And that doesn't help anything. So to give yourself grace and to be like, hey, you know what, like today just didn't happen, and that's fine, but there's gotta be something in you, and this is where like the motivation ain't shit, and you gotta like keep going despite, like, if you do eat that tub of ice cream, okay, you did that. Now, tomorrow, you're not going to do the same thing. Right. You're going to make it happen tomorrow and be fine. And that grace is so important. And having good people that back you and understand, like, hey, there are times, like I just told you, I had to run to work for literally 10 minutes before this. And, things did not work out today like I thought they were going to, but we made it work. We just smiled through it. That grace of your community is so important too. And to surround yourself with people who are willing to give you grace in what you fall short on. Because all of this is new. Entrepreneurship is new to 98% of us, right? Like half of us who are in here, in the sub 2 community in particular, but just in general, none of us know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And same thing with like fitness. It's so individual because how my body reacts to things, my hormonal imbalances, my whatever, are so different than the next woman. Everyone's bodies are so different that like I'm exhausted some days and I don't go work out. Sorry about it.
Yeah.
But I loved the gap and gain thing. And I feel like we could end it right there because that's a big one. We are not taught to look at the gain. We are taught 100% to look at the gap in everything because having the confidence comes off as arrogance. We're conditioned to see it as, if you tell someone like, hey, I'm going to go lose 20 pounds and you lose the 17, and you tell that person like, oh my gosh, I did so good, I lost 17 pounds. We are naturally conditioned to be like, oh, but you didn't lose the 3.
Yeah.
And let's be so for real using that example. Like, are you going to notice the 3 even if I did lose it? Or maybe when I weighed in that day, I had a little bit more water weight. Or I weighed in at a different time of the day. Or I had just worked out and maybe I took some more creatine. I don't know. So to have that grace and to just be like, hey, I'm going to live in the gain, I think is one of the most important principles that you can adopt, like you said, everywhere in your life. Yeah. Every single place would thrive if you would just look at the positives like that.
You mentioned a handful of things here. One thing is about that like go, moto, what you called it toxic entrepreneurship or toxic positivity. That was one thing that I don't want to say I didn't like David Goggins because what he's doing for people is amazing. I found that to be the case though with him, is that like he's always go hard, stay hard, be hard, hard. But when he was on the stage at Squat Up Summit, we saw a different side of him. At least I did, that I hadn't seen before, where he was a little bit more vulnerable. He talked about some things that, you know, he called himself a truth teller or truth sayer. You have these, and even myself, you could say it about myself included. And I mentioned that I'm talking to myself a lot of the times because I'm always trying to improve. But you have the marriage counselor who comes on stage and is talking about having a good marriage, and meanwhile backstage he's screaming at his wife. You have the nutrition coach that comes on and is telling you how to eat well, but he's eating cookies, you know, behind the scenes. Like all these things, it's not always what you see in front of you. And so that side of David Goggins I really liked because it's not all go all the time. Yeah. Sometimes you have to talk about the vulnerable things. That way I can connect with more people. While we do look at the scale, it's a very measurable thing that we can be working towards. So many of the people that we coach, the first week, 2 weeks, while the number will go down because you're making changes, the things that we see or hear the most are my energy level has increased. I don't feel as hungry. I don't feel as moody. I'm getting better sleep now. They're the things that aren't on the scale that people really come back to as. So like you said, you know, am I going to notice the 3 pounds? Heck no. And, you know, you may not have noticed if it was 10 pounds more, but what you did notice is like, I feel better. I do look better. I have less little dips and valleys in my energy levels. I'm able to focus more and get more out of my work and my days. So those are the things that like non-measurables almost that make such a big difference. And that's why, we haven't talked about it yet, but you know, writing down things in a journal on a morning and a nightly basis, or you know, at least once a day. Hey, these are the wins that I had from the day. These are the wins that I'm shooting for tomorrow. This is how I felt throughout the day. That I have mood levels, mood swings. You know, these are things that we provide to our coaching clients. It's like, hey, we want to be tracking these things because while we can track the weight's going to fluctuate. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, we want to be. Not all our clients want to lose weight. Some want to gain weight, but and we work with them on that as well. But you know, typically we want to be trending in one direction. But you're going to have, just like entrepreneurship, just like business, you're going to have it's going to go up and down.
I agree with the David Goggins thing. So David Goggins is the only speaker I heard at Squat Up Summit. I had to work all weekend and I didn't get to go to the whole thing. So I paid $500 to go watch David Goggins speak. But when I tell you within 10 minutes, that man had me crying. And I am not one that gets that way with speakers, because so many speakers give the same speeches over and over again that it's just like they're speaking to someone, things hit you, you get that dopamine rush, and you just move on with life.
Right.
But he, spoke to my soul. And I mean, I saw Pace later that day, and I gave him a hug, and I was like, this is why I needed to come. I was like, I just told him the same thing. Like, I haven't been able to get off work. I was planning on driving back and forth because I live an hour away from where the hotel was. Okay. And so I was just kind of planning on driving back and forth, networking, whatever, and it didn't work out. So I didn't even want to go on Monday. And he spoke. I was sitting next to my friend, and he was like, "You gonna cry?" And I turned over, and I'm already bawling my eyes out, and I'm like, "No, not at all." Yeah. So it was great. Yeah. But I love what you bring up too about him being the way he is, right? Like, you see his literal like motto is stay hard. Yes, and he goes and runs because he hates it. And he runs without music because he wants to like fight the fat kid within him. And that works for David Goggins. But I'm very big on like, find your individual thing. Don't go be David Goggins. Don't go be Pace Morby. Don't go be these people. Go be you. Figure out your story. Because guess what? If you got up on a stage, like let's say David Goggins spoke, and then you got right back on stage after him and said the same story, no one would give a shit. You have to be your own act. You have to have your own story, which means you have to go through that like Rocky montage and figure your own thing out, right? And that's hard, and no one wants to do it, but it's what's necessary. But it also means, and what I thought when you were talking about it, is it means that you can listen and you can absorb, but you can also reject. I don't believe in the stay hard. And that might just be a woman thing. I don't know. But I don't believe in the stay hard thing, because I need my moments of being soft. I need my moments of taking my minute to cry and to not go for a 2-mile run because I hate it, or to pee blood because I ran 74 miles with no training. Like, that's not me, and that doesn't need to be me, and that doesn't diminish me. It doesn't diminish you to not be hard like the gurus and the public speakers and the whatever. Go be your own kind of hard, like go do what makes you you, and someone needs the message that you're going to share. So I love that you brought that up, because I think it's so easy, especially once you do like, those videos that come through on Reels or YouTube that like have the epic music, and it has the quotes from like, it doesn't matter how hard you get hit, it's how, all that stupid, not stupid, it's not dumb, but it plays with your emotions, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm motivated now. Also go motivate yourself. Like, do what you need to do, and don't rely on other people's stories. Take them, take the energy from them. They're good, but at the end of the day, like, go make your own, because no one is you, and to try and be someone else, that's a reason why a lot of people fail. It's because they try to do it like everybody else, but you need to do it how Nathaniel will do it. I need to do it how McKenna can do it.
Yep. Take bits and pieces. I like that you said the reject part. That's powerful. I can sit there for 60 minutes, and maybe it's only 12 minutes of it that really sits with me. And that was something from the our last exchange. Yeah, that you have to connect with the person that's going to be coaching you, right? If you're out there listening to me right now, and anything that I've said isn't connecting with you, it'd be because you're more of a David Goggins type. You need to go find a David Goggins coach for you. There's a lot of value in the coaching. What I wanted to say on that part is, like, when we're bringing somebody in as a client, we want to meet them where they're at. So the first thing we do is have a hour-long conversation, 45-minute long conversation, where we're like, what are you doing? What are you working on? What are the goals? What's currently working? What's currently not working? Because if I go, okay, you're going to eat chicken and broccoli for the next week, and that's all you're going to eat, and they've been eating McDonald's every single day, maybe they can do that for a week, but that's not a sustainable thing.
Yeah.
And, Zach and I are very aligned on 99% of the things. This is one thing we just do differently because it works for him, And what I do works for me is I'm an intermittent faster. I eat 2 meals a day, usually in like a 6-7 hour window. He's a 5 time a day eater. He eats like when he starts waking up, breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, 6 times. And then he has a like nighttime snack. That's what works for him. If he likes eating his carbs, I find I'm better without carbs. So we tailor it, that what we're doing, to the individual. Just like, David Goggins doesn't really connect with me. I don't connect with him. That being said, there have been runs that I've been coming back from. I'm 25 minutes into the run. I'm like, what would Goggins do right now? Here we go.
You don't stop when you're tired, you stop when you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
I've definitely done that. And that's the whole point, right? Like, accept and internalize. I was going to say, so I want to say this, and I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say that there's exceptions, because as much as I want to say this, you also can't cherry pick truth, but accept what you agree with and what resonates with you, and discard the rest. But that is a whole nother, like, I feel like there are certain things in life where that doesn't make sense. But in this case, like, when it comes to the mindset and how you do the mindset, if it resonates with you, accept it. If not, like, find somewhere else where you can get that motivation,
there are
that
plenty
clarity
of sources out there
Yeah.
that are saying the same thing in different ways. And so sometimes you need to hear it 5 different ways for it to resonate with you. And you might just say, oh, it was the 5th one that I connected with. No, it was the 4, or not no, but the 4 laid foundations for things and said things along the way that maybe were planting seeds, and now the 5th one connected with you. Sometimes you need to hear something 5 times for it to go, oh yeah. Or maybe you need to hear it over the span of 10 years. I've heard the same thing for the past 10 years, but it wasn't until I had my first kid that freaking Hey Delilah, I just came up with a song, makes sense to me all of a sudden. I say that because I was just texting one of my non-sub 2 friends, my best friend from high school, just had a kid, and he's texting me, I'm just listening to, what's the first Coldplay album? Parachutes? I'm re-listening to Parachutes, and there was a specific song on there. He's like, oh my gosh, it hits me in such a different way now. Yeah, because you have a kid, and he was talking about his kid on that song, his firstborn son, just, right? And like now it's all connecting. So sometimes you need to hear something from a different perspective. Sometimes you need to read the book 3 or 4 times, because now you've read 100 other books that have filled in gaps that book didn't quite fill for you.
I feel like people need to hear that, because school, again, this is one of those things, like, love it or hate it, there's a lot of opinions and whatever. But in school, you are taught, whether you agree with public school or not, what they teach, how they teach, you are taught, you learn something once, you have a concept, you take the test, you either pass or fail. If you fail, your teacher might be nice and say, I'll give you a makeup, but there is no makeups in real life. So you better like pass the first time, right? Like, that's what we were taught growing up in our formative years. But I don't believe that. I don't think that is accurate at all. You can learn things and try again until you get it right. Yeah. And that's exactly what you're saying. Is there are so many things that I've heard over and over and over again, and all of a sudden it just clicks. And it happened to me the other day. I was just driving around, and I think it was the David Goggins speech that actually made me think of this. But I was driving around and I was like, okay, so 400 meters is a lap around a track, which is 1/4 of a mile. 1,600 meters is a mile, and I'm going to do the math wrong because I'm on the spot, but there's 1,000 meters per kilometer, or opposite, whatever. And I was like, so the conversion rate of a mile to a kilometer is 1.6. Where did that come from? I don't know. No idea. But because I had learned in track in high school what the meters were on a track, because I had gone to Canada and tried to like figure out the conversion when I'm driving, and because of all these things throughout a literal 15-year period, one day in March in Greenville, Texas, driving on a random road, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. Yeah. Does it matter to me? Does it benefit me in any way? No, but that's how your brain works, and that's why it's so important to keep learning and to like keep on. Don't give up just after one time of doing something, because eventually it just randomly one day clicks.
Yeah.
And you do need to hear it. And it's like what you said with, it's like the 7 touches before you can reach somebody. It's the same thing with your mind. Sometimes you need that 7 to 13 to finally be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's it's an issue with, and I can say this because I have struggled with weight for so long. Like, it's something that people who struggle with fitness and struggle with, making themselves a priority, they try it once and they're like, well, it's embarrassing if I try again, so I'm just going to give up. Like, no, keep trying until you get it. Keep making the mistakes. Keep going to the gym and falling off the bandwagon, but keep getting back on. Because one of the times it's going to work out. One of the times you're going to actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easy. It's easier as us for entrepreneurs, being in the sub 2 community and the other communities that we're constantly talking about failure. The way you learn is by going out and failing. Be the first to fail. Be the fastest to fail. Because while you're still reading the book and going through, like thinking through the processes, I've already read the book, implemented it, and failed 10 times and learned, and now I'm chapters ahead of you. And I can kind of equate it to nutrition, and that's why it's really important to have a coach, or it's at least beneficial. I don't know if I should say important, but it's beneficial to have a coach that's looking, objectively from the outside in. Is that we might try something for a week or two, and it's not working, and we've quote unquote failed at that, and now we can go, okay, well, that didn't work specifically that way for you in your life and your lifestyle. Maybe you didn't react well to the carbohydrates that we've put in. Maybe you didn't react well to maybe it's chicken. Like I've started doing like this, pulling out everything in the diet to start to see how I feel on certain things. So being able to iterate and go, failure is good, failure is okay. When we go to the gym, they say train to failure. Why? Because the failure, that area of those last couple of reps, that's where we're really growing. That's where we're really making huge gains. So we're so afraid of failing, like you mentioned with the testing. Like, you're afraid of failing a test. No, sometimes I gotta fail the test. So I go, oh, geez, these are where my gaps are. These are where I'm lacking right now. Not gaps that way, but yeah, gaps that way. Like
Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. Well, thank you for coming on today with me. I appreciate your time. Before I let you go, let's talk about where people can find you. You have quite a few handles, I'm assuming, with all the good stuff you got going on. And I'll put it in the show notes too, but if you could just throw it out
The
there.
best way is at Nathaniel Hovsepian, or Nathaniel.Hovsepian. That's my Instagram handle. If you type just my name into Facebook, I'm pretty easily findable. I think if you just type my name into Google at this point, I'm pretty easily findable. If you're interested in just connecting with me, period, that's the best way to do that. If you want to actually talk about some health and wellness coaching, just joining our Facebook community, you can go to fitfatherhood.net and find some resources on there. We have some free stuff as well, a meal planning guide and a goal tracking guide. The deal with those is, like I mentioned, they're just kind of a one-size-fits-all thing, but at least it gets your mind turning and your wheels turning of what I can do as far as nutrition. Whether you're a dad or not and you're struggling, anything that I've talked about, if it resonates with you, connect with me. I want to help as many people as I can. I just am passionate about the fatherhood blending with the fitness, because that's where I'm at in my life right now too. So
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming in. I'm glad we were able to do it, and maybe we'll have you back for another more in depth on fitness. But
yeah, we could just do a master class or something.
yeah, right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Later.